every time that you maximize your current opportunities, you open up your mind and your life to the next set of
Hold
opportunities.
on. Could you repeat that? Anytime you manage what?
Anytime that you maximize your current opportunities, it
Yeah.
opens you up for the next level of opportunities.
Wow.
That is the way.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Become Successful with Dr. Yemi Osho. If you're seeing this for the first time, please do like, subscribe to the channel, and also click on the notification bell to get updates anytime we have a new post. So we have another guest right in front of us, a very successful medical doctor. I would let him give us a brief introduction as we dig into um, his success story, because on this channel we share success story, and I believe that our audience will learn a thing or two that will help them make a progress in their life. So over to you, Dr. Timi. Give
Well,
us a brief introduction.
thank you very much for having me on your channel. Hi, everyone. My name is Timi Adepoju. I go by Dr. Timi, and I am a medical practitioner. I was born and raised in Nigeria. Went to medical school at Lautech in Ogbomoso slash Oshogo, and worked for a few years in Nigeria before moving over to the United States. And when I moved to the United States, I first of all did a master's program in public health. And then after that, I studied and took my board exams. Was fortunate to get a residency position in pediatrics in Texas, A&M University in Corpus Christi, at Driscoll Children's Hospital. And that was my pediatric residency. And after that, I started practicing pediatrics, which I did for about 7, 8 years before deciding to launch my own practice in Mississippi. So the name of my practice is Empower Children's Clinic. Our website is www.empowerchildrens.com. We started in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. So that was a very exciting time to start. And now we have, as at today, 2024, we have 3 locations in Mississippi.
Wow, that is wonderful. I mean, this is a 4 year. I mean, your business is 4 years now,
Yeah.
if I can count, and you've managed to scale up to having 3 locations. How did you do that? Could you walk us through some of this process?
Well, it's all the grace of God. And, the way that I see things is that we need to be able to look at our lives as if everything that we're going through is preparing us for something. So, right from a medical school, for example, back in Nigeria, it is not just being in the medical school, we're in the campus fellowship, we're in the medical students fellowship. There's a lot of other things that we're doing. So, the way that I do it and the way I communicate to some of my friends is that all those seemingly extracurricular things that you're doing is building capacity. So if you are able to build your capacity and you find the right opportunity, then you are able to scale higher faster. The other way that I also look at it is that every time that I've had to work for someone, you can talk to anyone that I work with, I give all my best. So I'm always doing my best every time. So when an opportunity comes for me, for my business, it is nothing new for me to go the extra mile. And all my employees know when I demand something, I work far harder than them. They get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm already there working. And when they're saying bye, Dr. Timmy, I'm still working on one thing or the other. So it's a lot of hard work, but definitely the grace of God and just favor, timing, those are all very critical components.
So, I want to make sure that our audience understands certain concepts. You made mention about being a hard worker in any way you found yourself. And I've seen people that will say, well, if I set up my own practice, then I will put in the work. What do you have to say to people that have that kind of notion?
I think it may be a rude awakening. It is harder to have your own business than to work in someone else's business, because when you are working for someone, you have a particular time. Maybe you're clocking, maybe it's 8 to 5, or maybe sometimes there's a shift work mentality, and sometimes when you're done with work for the day or for the weekend, then you're basically done with work.
Hmm.
When you own your business, it's a different ball game, because all the success and all the demands rest on you. You have employees that are coming to work and they want to do what they need to do, and when they are done, they are done. They can just show up to work and say, okay, like yesterday, July 19th, there was an issue with a Microsoft software. The employees can get to work and then say, hey, the computers are not working. Or they can say, hey, the internet is not working. There's some other things that come into play, and you as the business owner, you have to be able to step up beyond the typical duties of what you have to do. So for those waiting to work hard when they have their own position, I would tell you that as a business owner, there are so many things that goes into the business that you have to do even before the typical work that you have to do. And there are also things that go into the business after finishing the work. Things before the work, marketing, getting clients, promoting yourself, getting good reviews. Those are all quote and unquote not part of the main duties of what you have to do, but as a business owner you have to have that comprehensive view. So it's always a lot more work than people envisage.
Well, now, so you've had some, some quite number of years on working with someone. Working for a company. Now, could you tell us how this mindset came about? Because many people may want to be in your shoes and just look at how you've been successful and the kind of work that you're putting. They may be working hard. Is there a situation whereby you may not really have the mindset to be a business owner or be able to um, run a business successfully? What does it take? Is there a mindset shift or something? What is it about being an employee? I mean, there is nothing wrong with working with a company or anything or owning a business. There's no wrong or right answer. Now, walk us through what it takes to be a business owner. Is it a mind shift or something, or you have to dream, or what is it about owning a business?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and there are different ways to look at it, and some ways may not encompass everything, but definitely there is a mindset. But I think people and the viewers on this channel and everyone shouldn't see it as a separate mindset. They should start by looking at it that is the same mindset that you need to look at when you're managing yourself, when you're managing your time, when you're managing your finances, when you're managing even your current place of employment, or if you're a student watching this channel, just managing it. You have different classes that you're taking. How do you manage your time? How do you study? How do you make sure that each and every component of your studies or your work or your life is being well taken care of? And it's just when you have that mindset of a manager, say, I'm a manager, I don't have a company, I don't have a business of my own, I'm not even thinking about it, but can you manage your life very well? Can you manage things well? So when you are able to start from that mindset, anytime an opportunity comes, then you can now review it. Does it resonate with you? Is it in your field of study? Do you have the expertise for it? And then are you willing to venture into it? Now, there's a business mindset as well, meaning that, okay, can I do this thing for a profit? Because if you can make profit, then what you're doing is an hobby that you just venture in, you do a little bit, and if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, if it's a business and you want it to succeed, then you need to start thinking looking at it from a global perspective. So, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I would communicate it across, and this is what I want to accomplish. So those are some of the things. There's a lot more that has to do with setting it up.
Okay, now I would ask, did you always know that you would um, be in this position? Did you always know? Because there are a lot of times, talking after, because I've done quite some interviews, and I've seen that sometimes some people really do have it. They already know where they are gonna be. They can feel it, even though they are not there, but they can see ahead of time. And there are some that, in a way, I've not met one that stumbled into this kind of position that you are in. Could you walk us through that? Have you always seen this happening?
That's another very important question. I would say that I have not always seen it happening this way. But from even from medical school, I know people, or from residency, I know people that they are sure that they are going to run their business. So I would say for those that know ahead, the earlier the better. But for those who don't know or who don't have an idea of what they want to do, if you can still be able to manage yourself, manage your time and everything, sometimes some opportunities just open up, and it just open your eyes to a new different phase. Because every time that you maximize your current opportunities, you open up your mind and your life to the next set of
Hold
opportunities.
on. Could you repeat that? Anytime you manage what?
Anytime that you maximize your current opportunities, it
Yeah.
opens you up for the next level of opportunities.
Wow.
That is the way the mind works, and that is the way this planet works. So, if we, for some of our viewers, if, for example, let's say that everybody has 24 hours in a day, right?
Hmm.
So you go to work, and when you were back in college, you would go to classes, and then you still have to study, and then you have to do some homework. Maybe you have a job along the other side. You do everything, but after you're done, most people just have a single job, and after that, maybe it's just play and Netflix. And you could be in a college, and if you even if you don't take classes in the summer, you could read about 6 textbooks in a year. But then you get out of college, you may not have read one book in a year or in 2 or 3 years. But sometimes when you don't have the mindset, for those that don't have a business mindset, when you focus on maximizing your time and just say, okay, you just want to pick a book and read, then it then activates your mind to begin to see something from a different perspective. And all those things are kind of preparing you that one day something may come up, something may not come up, but whatever comes up, you'll be able to do the best of it. Even if it's at your current place of work, if you've maximized something, then you're able to take on other projects. And of course, that also has to be that you have the mindset, oh, the more you work, the more work they give you. That is true. That is true. But if they give you more work and you're doing more in an 8 hour period, even if they don't value you, or even if they don't treat you right, or even if they don't promote you, the next time you have an opportunity, you see that you're just well prepared for it.
Hmm. So, listening to you, it seemed like you seem like a hardened trader. From some of the statements that you made. Would you say that reading, and by the way, you may want to tell us some of these books that you will say opened up your mind to begin to think bigger. You want to share some of that with us?
Well, the main book that I read is the Bible.
Yeah.
That's the main book that I read. But I read, almost all my readings are personal development books. So it may be on time management, it may be on business management, it may just be on atomic, for example, a book like Atomic Habits, a book like Good to Great or Great by Choice. There are so many books out there that when you read it, it just kind of takes you aback, like, wow, it's just the way that the way reading a book works is that it will take your mind and your thought process to go on a journey with the author, and it sometimes takes you to a different place than you haven't been before. So our minds are like, they are like elastic bands. So when you read or when you get exposed to a new experience, a new place, or maybe you go for a vacation, or you take up a new role or join a new company, it stretches you, and once it stretches you, then it increases your capability. Now, your mind doesn't go back to being the same again when you do
Mm.
that. And sometimes you may feel as if, well, I can tell you that I've been reading for over 3 decades. One of my friends, when I went to Nigeria, um, some couple of years ago, and I was taking some of my old books, like, wow, you're still reading the books that you used to read back in med school. Yes, I still read the books. Just takes your mind on the journey, just expands you so that you just become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, wow. By the way, I'm also writing a book right now. I realize that's just another way you can share some of your life experiences with some people, or giving others opportunity to learn certain things from your own experience. So now, did you always look out for these opportunities? Because I found out that a lot of time why people most times um um troubled or worrisome is because they do not know there's opportunity around them, and they are chasing for that thing that's probably with them.
Mhm.
So for you, how do you spot opportunities? One, you have established the fact that you're an hard worker, you work very hard. Of course, that when you work out on you do extremely well on one phase, it will open you up to another phase. Did you always, how do you spot opportunities? Do you look for them, or they just open up to you? I'm sure opening up your practice, just like you said, it's not something that you envisage is going to be this way. However, it has opened up for you this way. How did it come about? Was it someone just recommending that, man, I've seen this guy, do extremely well, and that door opened? Or is it that through conversation, or is it that you start reading something on YouTube or somewhere? Please walk us through that.
Yes, everybody have different paths, and I'm happy to share my experience. So, after I finished my pediatric residency, I started working as a pediatric hospitalist. And for those who don't know what that is, that's a pediatrician that is employed by the hospital to see kids that are admitted into the hospital. And I love that because it has a very flexible lifestyle, because some at some places you only work a week on, a week off. So but for me, I was working my full-time job at that position. At my first position was working for 10 days in a month, but the 10 days are 24-hour shifts. So if you consider it, people that go to work
Yeah.
8 hours, we are doing 3 days in a day. So I love that because before I got the position, I was just trying to look at my life and look at the years that have been wasted and the things like that. And I was meditating one day, and then so I realized there was a time that Abraham, for example, needed to go rescue some people, and he was able to pursue, overtake, and then recover all. David, at a point in time, needed to go rescue for the people that he took in Ziklag. He was able to pursue, overtake, and then recover all. So I signed up for that position because I was able to redeem time, because it gives me a lot of time. You need a lot of time for yourself. So, and that's what I've always done. And then, later on, apart from having my full time position, even though I did change hospitals at a point in time, my free time, I was able to go and do what we call locums, which is like private practice with some other hospitals doing the same thing. So I was able to use that opportunity to really catch up on the lost years and catch up on extra revenues. So I have a full-time job, but I also have other jobs that I'm doing, and they are all in the same line. So I was living in Ohio at that time. My wife was in a training program, and when she finished the training program, she got a job in Mississippi. So we moved to Mississippi, and I was going back and forth to Ohio. Now, COVID happened. There was one flight because there's no direct flight. I will fly from Jackson, Mississippi through Atlanta, Georgia to Ohio. When COVID happened, there was a flight that I was the only person from the plane from Jackson, Mississippi to Atlanta, Georgia, and then I was able to get it. But after that, all the airlines canceled all the flight, and I tend to pre-book ahead because sometimes I know my schedule 3-4 months ahead. Now, then I would drive. I would drive 14 hours to go and work. So I drive 14 hours to go and work for about 10 days straight, and then I come back. Sometimes I work 7 days and then come back. And I spoke with some other hospitals here in the Jackson, Mississippi area. Say, hey, I'm a hospitalist. I'm board certified. I have experience. I have this, and there was no opportunity. So I said, you know what? Why am I looking for opportunity for one position when I can create a job that can employ 10 people? So so
Wow.
so I spoke to my wife. I said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. And when I say this is what I'm going to do, it's pretty much it. So, I started working on everything, what I need to do. How do I establish now? I know people from my training program that I've established. So, and I've spoken to them at that previous in time. You just talk to people, just the way you're watching this channel, you're mixing with different success mindsets, and it's opening up your mind and your visitors already. So I spoke with people that have started, and I spoke with one of my friends, and then there was someone also that I've met about maybe 7 years before that has a practice. Like, hey, Chuck, how you doing? How's it going? And everybody starts saying, "I just, you know what, this thing is doable." Then I also looked at my area. I did a competitive analysis, and I did some shadowing, some shadow shopping, or what do you call it, mystery shopper. So I'll basically call different clinics. I say, hey, I'm a new I'm a new person in this town. I need to establish clear care with a pediatrician. Are you accepting new patients? Do you accept this kind of insurance or that kind of insurance? And I kind of got a feel of the environment. And then you know what? The next thing is just to be able to go through the process, establishing system and structures. Now, clinic business in the US is a different ball game because you have to deal with the insurance and some other things. There are so many things that factor into it, and also finding a good location, finding a good market. So everything that all the reading an article here and there, talking to people here and there, reading different books, everything just tends to come together as okay, these are the things that I need to do. And when I was going to start that processing, remember it was COVID time, things were shut down, there was nowhere to go. I would have a to-do list that's about four pages long, and then just try and get through as much as you can get through. And even after getting through some, it will need some follow-up. In fact, I can remember when I wanted to, some of the things needed me to open a business bank account, but almost all the banks were closed. They were not seeing patient. Everything is virtual, and I need to go into a bank to open an account. So that was even a challenge. So like the first account for the business has to be like a local bank that could accommodate me at that point in time. So there will be so many challenges on the way, but if you are resolute, because you need a lot of grit to be able to be successful, you need to be able to stick to one thing, to see it through from beginning to the end, or to the point of reasonable satisfaction that you know that you've done everything that you are supposed to do. So it's a long and tedious process. That's a snapshot of it, but we can delve into different aspects of it later on.
Wow. In fact, just listening to that tells me just how cumbersome it can be. But one thing that I can't take away from your story is grit. I think for most business people, you need a lot of grit. Of course, it's gonna be rewarding. It comes with its own terrain too. Just like you've given an example, a salary earner only thinks about the job within that time frame. But a business owner is thinking about it before work and after work is still working. There's no clock out. There's no clock out for the business owner, and I think that is one of those things why when the reward comes, you can't but doff your heart. Now let's go back in time. We want to go back in time. So you were born in Nigeria, and what state was that again? If you can.
I was born in Ibadan, but my parents are they're from Ogun State.
And where in Ogun State?
My dad is from Ijebu-Ife and my mom is from Abeokuta.
That's Ijegba. So, um, you your entire schooling was done in Ibadan, right?
I went to school. My primary school was in Ibadan. My secondary school was Mayflower School. That was tertiary schools in
National.
Ikene.
Yeah.
Then I went to Lautech in Ogumosho. Then I did my clinicals, Lautech clinicals in Oshobu.
I've also just listening to you. You've talked a lot about um, reading the Bible. What kind of background do you have? Are you from are your parent pastors, or
No,
they are not? So how walk us through your background, in terms of faith now.
Um, my parents are Christian, so it's always a pleasure to be born into a Christian home. We went mostly to CAC in Ibadan growing up, and of course, we did whatever we have to do. We just follow along. But when I got to campus, when I got to Lautech in my first year, that was when I gave my life to Christ. So, and then I was part of the NIFES fellowship, and I think they had a pretty strong structure of discipleship and of learning and of growth. And with God and with grace and with help, I've just realized that from the early age, I realized that there are so many challenges ahead of me that I needed God to be able to help me. My biological father died when I was 9 years old before I got into secondary school. And then, when I got in secondary school, which is a boarding house, apart from, I mean, it's a boarding house, so they give us food, but people bring provisions. And I realized that we can't even afford that, with all those Milo and all those things. They are like luxury. You're eating eggs, that's a luxury. So looking at all that, I knew that, there's some things that I may not have in life, but I have everything I need to succeed. If I have God, I have everything. So that's the way that I've always viewed it. So I see God as my sole sustainer and the one that He's the father to the fatherless. So if you have to exchange a father for another, then I think that I got the best dad. Not that I wished, I mean, for several years, I wished that even now to see that if my biological father sees the kind of success that his son is doing, he's going to be very proud. So, but having that hope and knowing that, life is very complex. Life is very challenging. Life can be difficult, and life can be fun, it can be good and everything. Everybody needs an anchor for their soul. Everybody needs a reassurance. The way that I see life even sometimes is like when a baby is in the womb, the baby doesn't really know everything going on in the world. The baby is just floating inside water, which is the amniotic fluid. The baby may even think, okay, I don't need lungs or something like that. There are things coming, but there's an afterbirth that the baby now becomes a human being, and then has to feed by himself and breathe by himself. And then the same thing for this whole world that we're in right now. There's something after. So there's no success here that would justify, that would make you successful on the other side if you don't follow the appropriate path. And for me, that's the path of faith and following Jesus. So that has really helped me not only in my spiritual but in my mental. There are so many business decisions that I make that is based on scriptural thing. I mean, I read the Bible, I get an insight, and I say, you know what, this is the next thing that is going to happen, and that's always the way it is.
Thank you for sharing some of that background. Now, it seemed like that has formed a solid foundation for you um, through life. And maybe you might want to share some of your philosophies down the line. Um, Now, your from your story, it seemed like your mom single-handedly trained you. Were you was it just only you, or do you have siblings that your mom trained all together?
I have siblings. I have three siblings who are four kids, and I'm the youngest.
Hmm. And without even I've vast stories of single mothers. How did go through life? Was it rosy? Was it all maybe your mom was doing a good job and everything was rosy, and you were, you did quite well, but could you walk us through? Do you come from a so in Nigeria we would say average, maybe the salaries, the civil servant family or the business family? What kind of family did you come from? Is it like were you born with a silver spoon,
Honestly,
or
I wish I was born with a silver spoon. Like I said earlier, when we got to the boarding house, we couldn't even afford money for Milo and all of those things. Those are like luxury. So I would say that I came from I won't say poor, but I'll say maybe lower middle class. I would say that we are able to at least put food on our table, and that's the most important thing. And we had roof over our head, and those are the two things that are guaranteed. When I was going to go to Lautech, sometimes we just went with whatever we could survive with. So when I was going to go to Lautech, I didn't have clothes. So my mom took me to Dubai, what we call bend down boutique, where they pile clothes on the floor.
hmm,
I was able to pick three shirts,
hmm.
one trouser, and one canvas, and that's what I wore. That's what I wore through most of my 100 level. And then I saw a belt. It was already worn out, but it was good. That's what I wore. If I need to wash it, I mean, I have three shirts, so I can change. But if I need to wash my trousers, then I just wash it at night, make sure that it's dry by the following morning. So several years into my 100 level, I got a new belt, and one of my friends said, "Oh, you got a new belt." I'm like, I didn't even know anybody I was looking. I mean, I'm just grateful that at least I have that one trouser, I have the three shirts, and I could move on. So that's the kind of background that I came from. But I would say it was challenging, but I didn't suffer, because there's a component of suffering that is in the mind. So my mind, even though we couldn't afford many things, my mind wasn't as at the place of suffering. My mind was in a place of, look, these are the cards that you've been dealt with, and with any cards that you deal with in the game, you can still play the game right to win.
Great. Now I want to ask you about one particular element I can uh, decipher is that the grit. Where did your grit and this tag for, I'm going to remain on this thing, where did it come from? Because sometimes you see that life experiences can sometimes make you, people don't really understand you. Generally, I've seen that even from my own personal life, you say certain things and people cannot catch it. You're saying things and you seem like you're going crazy, and then you stop talking. So, you know what? I think I'm the only one seeing it. I can't. And then sometimes you find people that seem like they understand what you're talking about, but they still don't get why you're thinking that way. And God bless her soul now, rest her soul. Dora Cooley, former NAVDAC chairman, and from our story and our resilience, till now you don't even know who is the NAVDAC person is. But during that time, she did so well, And one of the story, I'm not sure, I'm not going to say I know this story is exactly right. But one of the rumors that we heard was that maybe she lost one of her siblings or a family or someone close to her due to fake drugs. And then she was going to, and that was her energy on chasing down the fake drugs. And when, nobody has ever set a record even after she has left.
Yes.
You see the story from, taken from the Bible again. Paul, when he was Saul, he chased down the Christians, and when he converted, the same energy we had in ensuring that they were nailed was that same energy he used to preach. So, how did you come about this? I would say it's a mindset. How did you come about this grit to make sure you see something to the end, to see to the conclusive end? Where did it come from? Was it from your background? Tell us.
It is hard because, this same question that you are asking, I asked myself the same question a couple of decades ago. When I look at people that have made significant impact, and I'm trying to say, okay, what is the defining point at their life that they made that shift? And at that point in time, I don't really have anything that I can point to. And I'm saying that for the viewers of this channel because sometimes some people look at all the great people and say, well, this happened for this before this person became this, and that happened before that person became that. And because nothing has happened to me, maybe I won't become anything. That's not the way it works. The way that it works is that every day, every time, you have opportunity to do the best that you can in a given scenario. And now, as life begins to unfold, some of those experiences begin to tie together. When I'm sharing some of my experiences, those are decades of things that have unfolded, and having to just make the best of each position. So some people have a defining moment that something happened and then caused a radical change. Some people don't have it. For me, I would say, I just realized that, there's a part of the story that I didn't share earlier, and I will bring that at this point in time. Before my dad died when I was 9 years old, about a year or a couple of months before, my mom had relocated to London, and she was a nurse in Nigeria. She was a chief matron at UCH, and I wanted to relocate and everything. So there have been some plan in place. I don't know. I was young. Maybe there's some plan in place that things will be settled. Maybe we may move to the UK, but everything came crashing down, and I was too young to understand what was going on. I mean, I know specifically what is going on, but I think there's some plans that were in a place that was um, that was destroyed. But the way that I see it is that the way that I look at the parents and the generation ahead is that they did their best and they provided a platform for the current generation. So the current generation needs to do their best with whatever they have. What they were able to provide for my generation was way more than their own parents provided for them. So every generation has a way to just leave the standard higher and higher. So I would say when it comes to developing grades and that mindset, it comes gradually and it comes with individual effort. So you referenced Saul in the Bible. There are some other lawyers in his days that didn't go after something that's strong. But the way that I saw it going through secondary school, I realized that even little things that if you want to read a book, just make sure that you finish it. Because many people can start a book and then stop midway. So anything that you do, make sure that you do it well and seeing it to the end. And doing that over and over again, if you need to maybe clean the house or iron the clothes or anything, make sure that you finish it. So those little things have a way of refining someone so that when there is a challenge, you know that you are up to it and then you are able to stand up for it. And sometimes for those that don't have a defining life experience that they could attribute things to, by completing things and doing it well, that becomes their defining experience. So if you don't have one, every day is an opportunity for you to have a defining experience, for you to have the grades that you need.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. I listened to a man, I don't know his name now. He said, make sure you lay your bed every day. When you get up, lay. It's not as simple as that task can be. It sets the tone for the entire day because you know, okay, I have to make sure everything is tidy. I have to come, and those are routines that work on the mindset. Even at work, you ensure that you get something done, to get it to a conclusive end. Now, this takes me to my next question. So I've seen children that they grew up in, maybe the father is a lawyer, the mother is a lawyer, and they become lawyers by default. I've interviewed actors, and I've asked them that same question about where they got the artistry skills. Some skills, some knew they were going to become a movie producer, actors, or something. So, in your own case, did you come from a family that studied medicine and that was that same thing that you followed? Or did you just you were that radical and said, this is you guys are going in this angle? And I think I had a hint of your mom being in the health sector as well. Could you walk us through that?
Yes, great question. Dave, I've been asked this same question over time, over the years, and I kept thinking about it that, okay, what exactly it is, because I'm the first doctor in my family. And so when kept looking back and say, what could have been the defining moment? My dad was, I'm not a doctor, he's an educational person, so he's in a teaching profession. And my mom was a nurse. And looking back, and as I grow and as I continue to reflect, so I realized that my mom actually worked in the pediatrics unit at UCH, because sometimes we will go to work to meet her. And every time that we go to work to meet her, my brother hates the smell of hospital, and he said that he would never be a doctor. And I said, you know what? For some reasons, I don't know how it came on me, but I said that I wanted to be a pediatrician. Everybody from my medical school knows that even if I didn't relocate to the US, I was going to do pediatrics. That's what I loved. Even before I did my first pediatric rotation in Oshogo, I just said, you know what, that's what I want to do. That's what I, and for some reasons, people were very scared of pediatrics in the medical school, and for me, that was my best subject. It just everything came easy and natural to me when it comes to pediatrics. So I love it, but I think looking back, the fact that my mom is in the health sector, that could have played a role. But even when I told her that, hey, I want to be a doctor, like, well, if you want to go into medical school, you have to study hard. You have to keep studying. You should consider and reconsider what you want to do with your life, given the length of the training and the demands and the time and everything. I said, well, I still want to do medicine. So the more they said, think about it, the more I said I wanted to be a pediatrician. So, and that's what eventually happened.
Yeah, and this is for everyone as well. There seem to be that you it's something that you can't really explain,
Mhm.
that you just know by default. This is something that comes natural to me. Someone said this is how you know. And when you schedule a task, that one that you schedule first, that's usually because that's where you can put in all your energy into. Natural this system, and then you put some on the back because your energy is not totally towards something like that. So, and knowing how tedious it can be, with that medical field, especially reading, um, in secondary school, I did chemistry, of course, uh, but I was more for the physics, maths thing. I didn't like the volume of books that you would read. I remember, when I was young as well, I would say, man, I'm going to become a doctor. Now a PhD I ever became a doctor, but in engineering. Now, How did it come for you? Was it something that you really worked out for, or something that came to you naturally? Because for most times, people in medical field are those have a they have their knack for reading. Were you that person that wanted to do a lot of reading, or were you just that it just came naturally? I'm not sure you can run it the way with most other fields. In engineering, you may not be that guy that reads everything, but if you are in class and you're always in class, yeah, some are gifted like that. They'll sit down, listen, watch, practice at home. But I don't think you can do that in medical field. So tell us, are you just naturally gifted? Is this something that came to you naturally, or you really, really did say, okay, I want to become a medical and I'm going to give you my all, even though the challenge or you may be there to put in a little more effort than you would say on the average. How did it come to you?
Well, for those that are gifted out there, I am jealous of them. I am not a gift. I don't think that I'm that gifted. I all through my schooling, I've been average, maybe a little above average. Sometimes I don't think that I ever got the best position in any class. I think I got the best once in the physics in high school, but that's even the best in my class, not in the whole set.
Mm,
So um, I'm not a gifted person that way. My IQ is just maybe above average or thereabout. But if I start something, I like to see it through to the end. So I knew that I wanted to be a pediatrician. So I know that okay, for me, I need to do JAM, physics, chemistry, biology, English. I need to pass all my classes. And in fact, I did very good in my Yoruba language than I did in some of them. So, but everything that I started, just been able, and when I got to secondary school, I had some challenges with the math at the point in time. It just wasn't clicking. So
mm.
my brother wanted to do engineering, and if my math is not clicking, then I can't do further maths at that point in time. So I didn't do that, but eventually I was able to catch up on my math, but I didn't select further maths again. And so I just did good enough to just scale through and then move on. But I don't see myself as uniquely gifted, but I see myself as capable of any opportunity that I have to face.
Thanks for sharing that with us. So, this is to everyone there. You don't need to be so-called genius to become anything that you really want to become. So, life has been good, I believe, and just listening to you, uh, how how has your personality played into everything? You seem like the calm person that will listen, and usually doctors will listen to their patients attentively. I think that may have played into some of your natural traits, of being just able to listen to your patients and just be able to give proper diagnosis. Tell us, is there, have you, in your line of field, I'm sure you may have come across some different personalities. Does that have anything to do with becoming a good doctor or not? What would you say are some of the natural things that is expected of in your field?
I think I've seen people across different personality types in my field, and it works for everybody. So I am an introvert. I am not someone who likes to talk. I don't really like to talk or like to be seen. I could be in an environment and I'm comfortable in my own shell. Now, there are times and situations that I've been in that requires me to step up, to show up and to step up. So, for example, I can't just listen to my patients or their parents. I must be able to also communicate, summarize what I heard them say so that they will feel heard, and also communicate what we're going to do and make them feel assured that we're doing the right thing for their child. And then when it comes to speaking outside, I am not that kind of a person, or I was not. If you know me 25, 30 years ago, I'm very shy, very timid. And that's also part of the things why I invested a lot in personal development. I know that there were some things that are intrinsic in my personality that could affect me to be the best that I needed to be. So being able to talk, be able to show up, be able to just articulate correctly, be able to, write something correctly. There's some basic skills that we have to develop. So it doesn't matter your personality type. I think you can survive in any field. And as we continue to go on, for example, in my residency program, I saw people that are more extrovert and more active and more easygoing. Most of them may not necessarily be satisfied doing an outpatient pediatric practice. Many of them like to be in the emergency room where they need some action, or in the ICU they need some action. And if I see a set of medical students, I can figure out who's going to be good at, who would likely go in the surgery routes or the internal medicine that just like to talk, or the one who would like to do procedure, or the one who wants to be calm and just recite. So in a medical school, you see all the range of the personalities. And then as water starts to find level, people start to think, then it could just tend to gravitate to where is a good fit for them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. So one common thing that you find here is many medical doctors that went to medical school in Nigeria, they are not able to pass the qualifying exam that makes them to be able to practice here. In your own experience, what do you think is the problem? Because I've seen, I know someone personally that because he could not pass the exam, he had to switch to becoming a nurse, and he's practicing as a nurse now. Could you tell us maybe from your own experience, why do you think that there's someone not passing the exam?
I think those exams are a beast. They are really, really difficult, and then they are also very long. One of the exams, I think, like 7 hours or 8 hours or something like that. And you have a specified number of breaks that you can take. And they are not really testing you for the knowledge, they are testing you for the applied knowledge. So it's the application of the knowledge. So it is one thing to acquire the right amount of knowledge to be able to meet the competencies, which is a lot. It's another thing to be able to apply it, and it's another thing to be able to go through the 7 hour of thinking your brain is working all day, like your brain is just kind of hot all day long. And any any little thing, if you're smart but you didn't sleep well the night before, if you don't know how to manage your energy during the day, if you don't know that, okay, there are some questions that may be really tough and maybe you just need to pick a response and don't waste too much. There's so many things that go into that exam. But that exam, it is not just hard for doctors, and it is from all over the world. I meet people everywhere, and maybe they're from the Philippines or from India. From it is a beast. So anyone that does it and passes it, you need to give them their respect. That hey, it is really hard.
And that is why we are giving you your flowers. We are giving you your flowers. Wow, wow, wow. So, from your own experience, I want you to advise people, some medical doctors thinking of qualifying. What would be your advice to them on for them to be able to at least qualify to practice? What would be your advice?
Um, I think it is very doable. Every year, lots of doctors make it to the residency program. Some are very fortunate that is their first attempt that everything goes through. And I know people that have tried year over year and they got it maybe in year two or year three, and year five. I think it is very possible. It is very doable. They need to be part of the different forums that are available so that they can share ideas with people going through the challenges. And they need to, of course, it's a good thing that they are on your channel and they're watching us. Sometimes when you see an example of someone that has done what you want, it just kind of build your faith and let you know that way, if this person can, I can do it, I can do it as well. So for all those that are still that are wanting to go these routes to come practice in the United States, it's a very possible thing. And it takes a lot of strategy. It takes knowing the using the right materials, getting in the right frame of mind, knowing how to apply the information, and putting everything together to be able to achieve it. So you can't read the Nigerian textbooks for this exam. And even though the Nigerian textbooks are some of the textbooks from the US or something, there's a different way to how to study and to practice well to make you proficient in getting very good scores. I know people that have done so well on the exam. And sometimes when I talk to them, I mean, when we used to have those discussions, when I talk to them, I realize that many of them even followed a different game plan than what I followed. And if I followed their game plan, maybe I might have gotten a better score, even
Do
though
you
I.
want to share some of that if it's something you can talk about? Well, what
Well,
are some of the game plans you think they used?
Materials, first of all, and it has to do with the way that you study. Some people like to study with the videos. Kaplan has a good set of videos. Some people like to study points only, just like more of it, like, as if they are cramming. First aid does a good job of that. There's a particular book that we used to read back in the day, which is Goljan Pathology. We read a different pathology textbook back in Nigeria, which is big, which is very good actually. But the Goljan Pathology kind of breaks that first step down, like breaks it down really good and gives you all the things that you need to know. And then also lots of questions, lots of questions, lots of questions, because sometimes there's something that you know the difference between Marfan syndrome and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but when they turn that question in a different way, it could still trip anybody off. So the critical things to know. So lots and lots and lots of questions. And I, for me, I use the question to put me in a frame of mind. So I study whatever I needed to study. But when it's time to do the question and I'm putting myself in that 8 hour framework for the exam. So I've simulated the exam multiple times before the day of the exam and simulating, making sure that you are sleeping well and you're doing it. There's one of the exam, my step two, that I had trouble sleeping the night before, and I knew that, oh my god, this is going to be a disaster. But I was able to scale through. So it's do a lot of studying the right materials, studying the right doing a lot of questions apart from studying the right materials, and putting yourself in that time frame so that a week before the exam or even 2 weeks, you know that you are fully ready for it. There's no reason for anxiety, and you're trying to make sure that you are sleeping well and you get your routine into place, even to the choice of clothes that you wear on that day, because your test center might be cold. You don't want need to drink too much and then you need to get up to go and pee. Well, this is timed exam. You need to sign out and sign in and take scheduled breaks. So all of those things factor into making it through the exams.
Thanks for sharing that with us. What would you say the average hours to prepare for that exam? How
Hmm.
would you advise someone to pace themselves? Of course, we know we learn differently. What would you say for the average person? How how many of the hours per day do they have to put in every day and accumulate that before they sign up for the exam? How many hours on your from your own experience now?
From my own experience, there is no set rule. It is when you're ready, and you know when you're ready. The proof that you're ready is that you're able to take a simulated exam either from the USMLE Bank or the NBME and make it through in a time slot and get a good score. For me personally, when I first came to the US, I wasn't planning on taking the exam. I came for public health and I was eyeing some public health opportunities back in Nigeria or in Africa. And I did my master's during the global meltdown happened just as I was about to graduate. So there was no hiring, there was no opportunity. And then I was here and I know that I had a short time. So I studied for my first step in 4 months. But those 4 months, I was studying about at least 80 plus hours per week. It was a torture, but I was desperate. And it is different if someone is working and they're trying to study or they are doing some other things. I wasn't working. I was done with my master's program. I was just in having a few months to get everything ready. So I studied for my step one in 4 months and my CK in 2 months, basically. But those are long days. I'm at the library before the library opens, and many times they have to say, it's time to go. They are turning off the light before I leave. But I always make sure that, I took a break. I took breaks on Sundays just to relax, take a walk, pray, get my brain together because it was a pain.
And what year what did you take your step one?
I took my step one and my step two in 2011.
Wow, great, the great experience. I believe for those medical doctors that really want to practice here in the US, they are listening, and definitely some of them we see this interview may be of great help to them. Um, Thanks for sharing your great experience with us. Just because we want to keep it short, we'll round up here. Um, Before we go, I want you to uh, because success is relative, and to some, what the term success is certain thing. Now, at the end of the day, everyone wants to move from one level to the other, and that's success. Now, how would you advise anyone that is watching? What are the ingredients they need to have to become successful? I've seen books, 7 rules of success, 21 rules of success. Is good, but from your own perspective, Dr. Timi, could you give us your top 3 rules of success?
Do I have rules of success? Well, starting from my definition, success is when the vision you have in mind matches the outcome that you achieve. So, success for, let's say there's somebody watching this channel and all you want to be is a stay-at-home mom and raise kids that are well balanced and well behaved. If you're able to achieve that, that is your version of success. So there's an individual component to success. But every success, when you say that you are successful, you should be able to match what is internal, the internal vision that you have with the external results that you achieve. And then also, it has to be something that is good and beneficial to yourself and to mankind. It is not good or not beneficial if it is done in the negative thing. But that is my basic definition of success. So, where it starts from is to have the right outlook. What vision do you have for yourself at your current place of employment, in your current relationship, in how you relate with, how you deal with your finances? So, success can be in different components, even in how you manage your time. So, when you have those vision of how you want to put everything and you're able to align with it, that is when you can be, from my perspective, you can be said to be successful. I don't define success just in terms of accumulation or achievement because over time you will see people that have accumulated or have achieved, but they are not fulfilled because there's a success aspect of achievement, but there's another success aspect of fulfillment. Because when the internal matches the external, or when you are on the right path, that is when you are truly fulfilled. You know that you are doing what you are meant to do. And there's no competition in the school of success. We could have another pediatrician that is content with having just a single location versus somebody that wants to achieve. And I know doctors like that. I don't want to deal with the stress of managing one spot is enough. When you're managing multiple, it's a different skill set. So having your own personal definition and not being in any competition. So all the success stories that you watch on this channel, you're able to pick different lessons to learn to apply to your own unique scenario. And that's what truly makes everybody successful and everybody great.
Yeah, sorry,
Yes.
Dr. Timmy. Now, people are trying to escape from Mississippi. It, and if you sit down with few people, oh no, this is done. There's nothing to do in Mississippi, and I'm good. And you came, you left Ohio to come to Mississippi to establish. Is there something missing here? What do you think could be the issue? Is it that people are not looking deep enough to know, or is there something about the big cities? You have been up there and you came down to Mississippi. Could you share from your own experience? Why do you think is like that? Is it like lack of information for people most times, or what? What do you think could be the missing link?
There are different things to it. It depends on what each individual wants. Some people prefer to be in the big cities where they have a lot of things to do. Some people prefer a smaller city. So whatever you want, you can make it work. When I first came to the US and I did my master's, I did my master's in Tampa, Florida. I love the city, so many things to do, but I could tell you that when I was living in Tampa, Florida as a student, I didn't really enjoy most of the things over there because I don't even have the means to do so. And I have enjoyed Tampa, Florida more when I wasn't living there and just going for a vacation. So you have to consider what opportunities that you have. You have to consider what suits your lifestyle, what suits your family. For me, when people say there is nothing somewhere, in terms of a location, it is the same thing for people that are watching the channel and think, oh, maybe there is nothing much to my life or to this person's life. There is a concept that I discovered in the scriptures, and it says that God will give us the hidden treasures of darkness. Wherever you think there is darkness, there is gloominess, you can have an illumination and then realize that, hey, this particular place that people are running from is actually a gold mine. And because there are some other places that people are running to that there is nothing much for you over there. People have lived in the big cities and for decades have nothing much to show. And people have lived in big cities and they have great results to show. The same thing with a small city. So it's a lot having to do with your perspective and your approach to life and how you want to do. But anywhere that you are, you could make the best of yourself. So if you find yourself in a place, just make the best of it and you will be surprised about what you can get.
Thank you, Dr. Timi Adepoju. It's wonderful talking to you on this channel. I think you've been a great blessing to us. A big thank you to you for giving us, sharing some of your, precious time with us. And I believe someone out there has learned one thing or the other. Of course, we'll bring you back on this channel to discuss some other topical issues as we deem fit. And that is it on this particular episode. Uh, Keep on, please share this video with family, friends, subscribe to the channel. And before we go, could you just, you want to tell us where your clinic is at for those that are here in Mississippi that want to use your hospital? Could you share your address with them and the phone number for the office just in case they may want to call in?
Yes, we have three locations. The first one is in Pearl, Mississippi, and that's at 2507 Old Brandon Road in Pearl. The phone number for that clinic is 601-531-8020. We have a location in Madison. That's at 950 US Highway 51 in Madison. And the phone number for that is 601 966 8433. And our third location is in Vicksburg, Mississippi. It's at the Medical Mall, 2080 South Frontage Road in Vicksburg. And the phone number for that is 601 994 4187. They could also go to our website, www.empowerchildrens.com. There's a chat button on the website. They could always reach us by chatting with us directly on the website, and we could answer many questions and even schedule them directly on the website.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for
God
having
bless you.
me. You're very welcome.
And audience, we'll catch you in the next one. God bless.
Thanks, yeah.